all for being here today. My name is Augusta Isley. I am the Associate Director of Pre-Award Development and Outreach and Sponsored Projects here at Ball State. And today, I'll be sort of guiding you through the backstory of what is a sponsored project, what is a grant, what does that mean at Ball State, and then also what resources Ball State has for finding funding opportunities and some uh, tips that I have found over the years. I am screen sharing, but I do have the chat open. If anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute or put your hand up or just pop something in the chat and I will pause and respond. We should have a little bit of time at the end for questions as well. This is hopefully more informal than formal, and a conversation if you do have any questions as we go. So, what is a sponsored project? So our office is called, our name is Sponsored Projects Administration, and sometimes people ask, like, that doesn't make any sense. What do you mean? But you're the grants office. What is a sponsored project? Put simply, a sponsored project is literally any project that is sponsored by external dollars. And so there are also some stipulations around that, but that's kind of the base definition of it. And typically these are conducted under the direction of a university faculty or staff. And there are reporting requirements back to a sponsor. And grants are not loans, so they don't have to be repaid. This is not financial aid, it is project driven. So you'll hear Pell Grants, those are financial aid. Those types of things are not under the auspices of sponsored projects. We are all project driven grant funding. And so SPA, we call ourselves SPA, Sponsored Projects Administration, SPA. SPA is a support office at Ball State offering assistance with grants education, so sessions like this, both in person and on Zoom. Proposal development and submission, we have a pre-award team that offers support from everything from finding that funding opportunity and research agenda assistance or creative agenda, scholarly agendas, assistance, that proposal development, the budget development, gathering any ancillary documents, including support letters, and then up to and including the submission of a proposal. And then once awarded, congratulations, you're funded. We do have a post-award team that supports the award administration throughout the life cycle of that award, which includes reporting and then award closeout once that end date has happened. And then also through our office, we offer the Aspire Internal Grants Program and a number of incentive programs, which we have other sessions on the incentive programs if you're interested. So typically the first question sometimes I get is why would I seek external funding? Like what is the purpose? For a number of it's resources, it's external funding. A grant can provide you a faculty member or you a staff person with support in completing your projects. And sometimes that can be, like I said, scholarly agenda driven, your research interests. That could also just be a community-based project. We have a number of community-based projects that are externally funded that are in partnership with a nonprofit in the area or the Muncie Community Schools. There are all sorts of things that can be funded by a grant, and that can, as I say here, enhance your learning, enhance others' learning, your students, the community members, broaden experiences for everyone involved, deepen understanding in subject matter, and also primarily expanding your available resources. So it's really, wouldn't it be great if you, as a faculty member, couldn't you use some student wages to support your work or travel to conferences? Or if you're doing survey work, some research, some like participant stipends, um, or research incentives to entice people to take your survey. So uh, all of these things can set you apart as a person doing grants work for the institution. So some very basic funding fundamentals. This is kind of before you even start that search, things that you should know going into it. Start early. That means knowing your timeline. When do you need that funding so that you can find opportunities that actually fit your needs? There's always the last minute opportunity that is going to, of course, be the most perfect opportunity, but you have 2 days to apply. That's not ideal, but it does happen. So you always want to start early, knowing your timeline, knowing what it is that you need going into that search, and having a game plan before you do a search can help you sort of frame that search in a way that doesn't um, leave you overwhelmed with the search results, because there are just so many funding opportunities, so many sponsors out there that if you don't have kind of an idea of what you're looking for, you can get overwhelmed and then basically give up because it's like finding a needle in a haystack sometimes. So um, definitely have a game plan. Think of your keywords. I always talk about having a project elevator pitch. So, what is that brief summary of all of the important parts? So, like, basically, why is this the coolest idea? Why is this fundable? Who should care about this? In just a few sentences, and from that, you can typically pull out some keywords. And those keywords will be really important when I go through the database stuff here in a few minutes, um, that will help you sort of hone your search as you start to develop your search strategies. Also, think outside of the traditional sources of funding. There are just sponsors everywhere. Depending on the type of work that you want to do, you could find a nonprofit, a professional association, or a local community group. There are a number of um, even local to Muncie, Delaware County, that are not your typical, not Ball Brothers, not Community Foundation, not George and Francis Ball, but they are smaller sponsors that offer project support to local projects. Um, and so there are just kind of the sky's the limit. If you think about, corporate sponsorships, um, almost every corporation would have a giving arm. It's just a matter of like doing a Google search for, Target Foundation, or whatever, fill in the blank, Hewlett Packard Foundation. Those will result in potentially some interesting opportunities that maybe you didn't think about because they're non-traditional. So as you're going through your search, so you've done your search, you've found some things that look interesting, be sure that you read the fine print of each of those opportunities. Make sure that once you've found something that looks interesting inside in a database or other non-sponsor location, that you do go out to the sponsor's website and start reading through what the sponsor's website actually says, what the sponsor's guidelines say about their funding priorities, what their mission is, just to make sure that your project actually fits in line with their sponsor needs, their priorities, because ultimately it is their funding, it is their money, and so you're trying to convince them to give you money. And so you definitely want to align your priorities with theirs. With any opportunity, you'll want to check your eligibility, check the deadline. Again, that's harkens back to the know your timeline. Um, if there is a deadline that comes up quickly, uh, but then like maybe you won't hear about funding for another 6 months, but you really need funding for like this summer, that's probably not going to fit your timeline very well. So definitely make sure that you understand the sponsor's timeline, both for the deadline, but then also for funding projects. Budget restrictions. So if there are things that you need, if you need faculty effort or that travel, conference travel, participant support costs, research incentives, if any of those things are things that you need, but the sponsor will not fund them, that's probably not a good fit. It's not necessarily an end to your search or your relationship with that sponsor, but it definitely could hamper progress. So just as I said, just read the fine print because there's a lot of fine print sometimes in sponsor guidelines. I do encourage looking for frequently asked questions, FAQs that sponsors will post on their website. Sometimes they'll hide little guidelines, tips and tricks, funding bits in the FAQs. Also, it's if you find a sponsor that seems like a good fit, and you go out to their website and they have any information on previous awardees, that's a really great place to find additional information about the things that they may or may not fund. So, for instance, a sponsor may say that they fund institutions of higher education or not-for-profit organizations. Okay. Ball State is both of those technically. But then you go out to the sponsor website and then you look at their previous awardees, and none of their previous awardees are universities. That may be a clue that this may not be a great fit. But not to dismiss it out of hand, but just, make sure that you have all of that available information so that you can make an informed decision to go forward with the best possible outcomes. One of the things that I will say is that in sponsored projects, we have a team of wonderful proposal managers. Those are the pre-award managers that can assist you if you do have any questions about a funding opportunity or a sponsor that you found and you just, maybe you read through some things and it's not quite clear to you. Your proposal manager will absolutely and can assist you with sort of decoding some of that language or doing a deeper dive to find some more information. And I will show you where to find your proposal manager information on the website here in a minute. So here's our website, bsu.edu/SPA. Another place that you can maybe find some pertinent information is if you are looking for funding opportunities in a particular discipline, you can always look at who is funding your peers or others in your discipline. Or if you're in an administrative office looking for project funds that way, talk to your peers, talk to others at other universities to see how they're getting funded, what sorts of supports they have. There's, technically no cheating in grant writing, and definitely share the information. Use your available resources to find information about potential sponsors and potential funding opportunities. And that includes, talking to your peers, talking to your mentors, talking to just others at Ball State about how they're getting funded. It does take time and patience. It is more of a marathon than a sprint to find a funding opportunity sometimes. Like I said earlier, it's a bit of a needle in a haystack situation. But once you like, if you go into it prepared, I think it makes it a little bit easier lift to sort through some of the funding opportunities. I won't bore you with all of this. This is just a brief slide on grant writing, just to talk about like how it is a special kind of descriptive writing. Like I said, you're trying to convince the sponsor for them to give you money. So, what does that mean? Briefly, all of the narrative questions can be summed up with who cares and how are you going to measure that? Um, so uh, these slides will also be available. As I said, I am recording this. Um, And then your budget is the budget is typically one place that folks get a little concerned because they're not quite sure what they can ask for or how much the things are that they can ask for are. Remember that the budget is an estimate and should be carefully planned and reasonable for project needs. So don't inflate your budget, under promise. Um, don't under promise and don't over promise. And here's another place, definitely with that narrative development and your budget development. Those are things that your proposal manager can assist you with. And that's why the whole team is here. So ultimately, at the end of this, before we go into the database searching stuff, um, please read the guidelines. The guidelines are for any sponsor funding opportunity. The guidelines for that funding opportunity will outline exactly what they want, and be able to show you what that fine print is, what your eligibility is, what they will accept, the way that they want their proposal laid out. You never want the reviewer to have to like dig for information. So if they're giving you um, please use these headers, or they're like, please address these things, and then just like use that as a way to start your narrative so that a reviewer isn't searching for information, because you also don't know necessarily who is going to be reviewing your proposal. Um, but that they have a rubric that they are comparing every proposal to, and you should make sure that it's kind of a one-to-one, because the other thing about reviewers is they're busy. They're just like us, maybe reviewing things the night before it's due. So they're looking quickly and usually are overwhelmed with the number of proposals they get. As we know, external funding is extremely competitive, regardless of the source of funds. So, yeah, it just behooves us as we're searching for grant opportunities and then submitting proposals to those opportunities, that we make it as easy for the reviewer to understand our project as possible. So that's the end of my slide. So I'm going to switch things here to our website. As I said in the beginning, please, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand or drop questions in the chat. I will respond to them as I can. So this is our website. This is bsu.edu/SPA. So right up here at the top, we have two buttons that are primarily of importance. So the middle one is how to contact a proposal or grant manager. And this is organized into academic colleges and administrative offices, and then by college in the academic colleges, and then by administrative area under administration. And then underneath each of those, we have the subunits, the departments, and then a contact for a proposal manager and a grant manager for all the primary ones that we know about. So that's how you can contact somebody if you are looking for more information. From, again, our homepage, we do have a button called Find Funding. Very hopefully easy to understand. And then under this, we have two tabs, one for faculty, one for students. A lot of the same information is under the students' information, except um, we uh, we get a lot of questions about funding for school. So we uh, offer resources and other things for students to um, be able to find those resources from our website if for whatever reason they would land here. Um, Faculty, I should probably rename this faculty and staff. But these have the primary websites for external funding. So we've got grants.gov and candid.org. Candid.org used to be Foundation Center and GuideStar. They combined forces, and so that's a lot of not-for-profit resources. Ball State does not have a subscription to candid.org, but the Muncie Public Library does. And they also, their librarians are wonderful. If you are interested in learning more about Candid, I would encourage you to go speak with one of those librarians. They are wonderful and well-versed in candid.org. Today, we're going to talk about SPIN. SPIN stands for Sponsored Programs Information Network, and it is a very powerful but easily interfaced with search tool. So we have some information about how to use it here, as well as tutorial videos from the SPIN organization itself, InfoEd, and some quick start guides. We also have a link to our YouTube channel, which this presentation will be uploaded to that YouTube channel. And then, of course, the link to the SPIN database. So when you land here, it says sign in using SPIN credentials. We're actually going to go over here to sign in using institutional credentials, and we just select Ball State from the dropdown, and then you'll get that very familiar single sign-on red page to sign in, and then you'll be connected with SPIN. So this is SPIN. It's like I said, it's a very simple interface. Sorry, I'm looking up because my other monitor is where my screen is. Mine may look a little bit different from yours because I am an administrator, so I have a couple more tabs. But primarily, here's your search function. Here are your preferences. You can do save searches. So if you find a search, if you make a search, and we'll go through that you particularly like, you can save it and then get email updates about like new opportunities that hit that search. You can also do funding alerts. Those are single funding opportunities that you can bookmark so that once that record is updated, the system will send you an email to say like something changed within this record. So within the search, there are three primary searches. You've got your text search, which is just like a basic Google search. You just type it in and search and see what happens. This is a nice place to start if you have like, if you don't know where to start. Keyword search is a little bit different. By the way, the system regularly, this little box comes up and says confirm that you're doing something different. And that just means that it wants you to know that you're changing some feature. So the keyword search is, so this is a database, and as such a database is everything is organized by keyword and then fitted into little folders essentially. And so you can't actually type in this box. You have to select the keyword. So you pick that hyperlink and then this box comes up and you can explore, and that means you search through each of the folders, or you can use the searcher option. And here's where you can choose keywords. So I'm going to say nutrition and see what comes up. And then anything with nutrition in the keyword will pop up and you can select it from the dropdown. I'm going to say nutrition education and then click subset. And it's just nutrition education. And so you you click on the keywords to select your keywords, and then you can go back and pick your next keyword. Say that, show subset. Okay, so now I have my two selected keywords: nutrition education, elementary, secondary education. I'm going to save my selections and continue. And then my keywords pop up in the little box. And right now we have a selection of or instead of and. And so that will change how many results you get, but you can change your keywords and things after you develop your search. So right now I'm just going to hit locate funding and see what happens. Okay, we have 11 results found. And if I switch my search to and, we got nothing. So we'll stick with or. So this is a results from the search. It comes up in this little box, and we can click on these hyperlinks here in this under opportunity title that will come up with more information about that particular funding opportunity. And then the sponsor name typically is known, sponsor number if it has a known number, like an award number or something. The deadline if known, the funding amount, maybe an average or a max, depending. And then if you're interested in bookmarking it, you can do that here as well. I'm going to, let's see, computer science for all. Sure. So once you click on that funding opportunity, then a little box pops up and will hopefully give you more information. Yep. So you can see that this has basic information, and just know that this is created by humans who may or may not have all the information. So I always say this is a great place to start. Spin is a wonderful place to start. A Google search is a nice place to start, but just be sure that you are going out to that sponsor website and finding the actual sponsor guidelines and connecting with the sponsor directly rather than taking this information from Spin and calling it a day. So we can see here that there's a synopsis about this opportunity. And I do realize that I said nutrition education and this is a computer science opportunity. So I'm sorry that I didn't have a better search planned for this. But we can see our deadline date and it has a link out for more deadline information. It does have information about eligibility here. And so you can just click through and it just has a very high level notation of the funding opportunity parts. This has funding guidelines, so it says approximately how many of these particular grants would be available. And then if there are funding levels for each of those, it does include that here. So there's no cost share. There's a contact information too. And then you can also see down here under keywords, you can see the keywords that it hit on. And I believe if you click on each of these, more opportunities will come up that hit on that keyword. So that can also help you as you're going through your search. If maybe you're not getting quite what you are expecting, you can see what other keywords are hitting on your search and adjust accordingly if you need to. So I'm gonna pause. Any questions so far? Okay. So at the top here, you can also bookmark this program. That would create a funding alert. If you click bookmark, you would create a new group, or selecting an existing group. You can have, so far as I know, how many groups of funding alerts that you would like. And then you just type in, if you need to create a new group, and you've bookmarked this program. If maybe you like this opportunity, but the deadline isn't upcoming, you can always email it to yourself if you would like, or email it to a colleague if you have a collaborator or something, or you happen to maybe come across something that isn't for you, but is for somebody that you know, you can always share it that way. So if you so you have your search, you've maybe identified a couple of funding alerts. This is not uh, refreshed. Cancel. But I am going to go ahead and save this search. Up here next to locate funding, you'll see save. And then um, you can save the search and then tell the system how you want to get your updates, or if at all. You don't have to. Um, and they do daily or weekly updates. I just do a weekly. And then if you have multiple searches, it will sort of combine that into one email. So you're not getting multiple search emails. So I'm just going to do this. I, as the administrator of the system, can actually share searches and opportunities with specific people who have registered with the system. So if ever I were to work with somebody and or really any of the proposal managers would work with someone who needed assistance with a search, we can actually build that search and then share it with someone. So I'm going to hit save my changes, and then I've saved. And then you can see under saved searches, there's my elementary education. And anytime I want to come back into the system and revisit that search, I can do it that way. Under, I'm going to refresh this. Yeah. So after I refreshed the page, I can see my bookmarks for my computer science, and I don't have any funding alerts set up at this time. Questions about the keyword search? Okay. Another way you can search is the advanced search, which again, it'll ask that confirming to change the search mode. This basically offers you a number of delimiters, things to, if you have very specific things that you want to look for, you can do that here. You can search by particular fields. If you kind of know what you're more looking for, you can search by sponsor type, and then it'll select from the dropdown the types of sponsors that are available. And then you can add new search parameters based like, I think you can add as many as you want, but just remember, the more parameters you put around it, the fewer opportunities that you will likely be returned, because they all sort of compete for each other and then knock each other out. So I'm going to go broad. Whole program, thank you. So for sponsor types foundations, full program contains nutrition. We've gotten these particular funding opportunities. And if I wanted to, again, I could save this search, I can export it. I can also clear it and start over. Here, so you'll see right underneath the search terms, for each one of the searches, there are additional filters active. You can edit them. I have a few on for the like system wide, but you can toggle them on and off and adjust as you wish for your searches. So the applicant location and applicant type, I have those set for the university. But like I said, you can add and change them. You can click on the little hyperlink and this comes up, and then you can toggle your various spin category filters, applicant location, applicant type, project type. And yeah, you just select it and pull it over into the project type restrictions, and you can pull them over and take them out. And then yeah, just save and exit. And if you wanted to reset your filters completely, you just click reset filters and it will clear all of your filters. Just a couple other interesting features of Spin underneath the search dropdown. The primary three search mechanisms is new and modified opportunities, impending deadlines, limited submission programs, federal contract opportunities, and then non-traditional sources. And so each of these has a curated list made by the system gnomes that you can click on, and it just has so new and modified is modified over the past 7 days. So this is obviously a number of opportunities, but you can see what has recently been updated here. You can use these little filters, this little arrow triangle guy, to filter for each one of the columns. Limited submission programs are opportunities that the sponsor has designated that like maybe only one or two applications can come from any particular organization. And so that would potentially limit what we, Ball State, could apply for. But then if it is a limited submission and more than one or more than the number of sponsor allowable applications are interested in moving forward, then we usually hold an internal competition prior to that deadline. And then non-traditional sources just is a very interesting list. It's primarily crowdfunding sources that are available to folks for just an interesting way to fund your project if that is of interest to you. Also, I will plug that Ball State has their own crowdfunding platform through the Ball State University Foundation. I, of course, cannot remember what it's called. State crowdfunding. So each semester, you can submit to have your project featured, and then they have like a handful of projects that they hold that they keep up for the semester to get encourage donations that then I believe the project team then is responsible for pushing that out and gathering donors. But that is a Ball State resource for crowdfunding any kind of projects. So I have talked a whole lot. What questions do you have? Does anyone have about SPIN, sponsored projects, finding funding opportunities, anything like that? I am happy to answer this last 15-ish minutes. I am here for you. Does anyone have a project that they are, oh, Margaret, yes. Can I hear you? I can't hear you. Margaret, I can't hear you. So if you are talking, I'm sorry. Here we go. Margaret's question is, this seems overwhelming at times. It sure is. What resources does SPA have to help find with funding and writing the grant? So SPA does not, we don't write grants. We support, um, we'll do narrative review. We will do, responding to what the team has put together. Um, and of course, like budget development and things like that. In terms of help with finding funding, a funding opportunity, I encourage you to meet with your proposal manager and discuss your interests, the things that you want to fund. So if there are like if faculty members in particular, they're looking for summertime or like maybe a course release, something like that, their effort, or like I said, student wages, things like that. Um, if we can get a ballpark of how much someone is looking for and then what types of things they want funded, we can usually assist with like building a search, doing a search, responding to a search that you've done that maybe wasn't successful. Also, just kind of generally, we in sponsored projects get a number of newsletters about funding opportunities that are out. And the more we know about your projects and your interests, the better we can forward those on to the folks that we know are working in those areas. And that's a way that we can help disseminate potential funding opportunities to the people who would like it. Also for 2025, you may have seen in the Communications Center that we have developed partnership with what's called Hanover Research. They are a external consulting firm that we have a page on our website about them under education, outreach and education, and that um, they have educational opportunities, webinars, but then also if you have a proposal that you maybe were unsuccessful the first time around, they will help with revisions, reviews. They will also do, I believe it has to be at least 4 weeks ahead of the deadline, or like basically when you want it to get it back. They will do a proposal review to assist sort of a more deep dive, especially for those more maybe hard sciences that require um, a lot of evaluation, things like that. And like I said, there's a process, there's a request form, because there's a queue that we have built with Hanover to make sure that we are kind of keeping things in line, and it's a one at a time situation, I guess is the best way to put it. Other questions? Margaret, did I respond to your question? Is there a cost? No, there is not a cost for departments to use Hanover. Great question. Sponsored Projects has footed this bill as part of that proposal development and our commitment to supporting our faculty and staff here at the university. So if you are interested, like I said, on the our SPA page under education and outreach, there is a Hanover page. And then on that page, there is a link to like a Microsoft form that you can put in for your interest. But then there are just also like a ton of resources on that page for grant writing, some particular opportunities. Hanover has a wealth of recorded webinars that are really interesting and informative, and most of them are like 30-ish minutes. They're more bite-sized than like committing a whole hour. No, That's okay.
I know that this is very early and there may not be an actual answer for this, but um, given the changes to the moratoriums on grant funding and things like that, they're being placed by the current administration. Is there any guidance on what might be expected for availability of grant funding for academic use?
So we are monitoring the situation as best as we can, and we know what we know. Um,
Which isn't a lot at this point, right?
yeah, yeah. But so far, there's, you know, we've seen some memos, and uh, we are not disrupting. We haven't been told to stop working, so
Okay,
we continue um, with our mission. Also, there's a lot of sponsors out there that aren't federal, so
right.
um, there are other sources of funding kind of in the meantime that continue to be available, um, and for all sorts of projects.
Okay. A second question. I don't want to monopolize everybody's time, but a second question. You mentioned the Candid site, and that's at you said that's available at the Muncie Library. Do you know if that's common among other libraries, other town libraries, or is it, just that we know specifically about Muncie? Like I live in
Um,
Pendleton, so
oh,
um, I'm
it's
curious about their library, if their library might have access to it as well.
definitely worth investigating.
Okay,
Uh, it's that just happens to be what I know of
sure, right,
because I work with the Muncie Public Library, but yeah, kind of in general, I'm sure that everybody knows this. Libraries are a wonderful resource.
sure, yeah,
They have, I know the Muncie Public Library in particular, and the Ball State Bracken Library has like resource guides about grant writing,
mhm,
um, uh, links to finding funding opportunities, and also those educational opportunities. There's also, so Candid is a subscription service, but there are a number of things that are outside the paywall that are
okay.
available for kind of people to check out without having to like log in or anything like that.
So, and the reason I'm asking about that is I'm on the board of directors for our local humane society, and we're looking for grants to help support the shelter. And so I thought that might be a place to be able to check that out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Other questions? Okay, hearing none. As I said, this has been recorded, and I will post it to the website as soon as it's ready. And then email everyone who attended and also RSVP'd, so that they will have that. And if you think of any questions, please feel free to email me or your proposal manager. I put my email address in the chat. Um, and as you get to searching and you hit walls, don't be afraid to reach out and ask for some support about what you're finding or what you're not finding, so that you can, you know, get connected with some opportunities that fit what you're looking for. So I will give everyone back 7 minutes, and have a wonderful afternoon.